Welcome everyone, welcome Vasiliki.
Ευχαριστώ.
What will you be making for us today?
Σήμερα θα κάνουμε γαλατόπιτα.
Beautiful. I love your Galatopita.
Όποιος την τρώει όλους τους αρέσει.
Absolutely, and I'm your #1 fan. It's really special. It has a beautiful crispy puffy pastry, a beautiful creamy custard and a beautiful cinnamon flavour as well. It's really special.
Είναι ωραία.
Tell me, what do we do?
Πρώτα θα κάνουμε το ζυμάρι.
Okay, what do we need to make the dough?
Θέλουμε 3 ποτήρια αλεύρι,
Okay.
1/4 λάδι, ελαιόλαδο, 1 κουταλάκι αλάτι και 1 ποτήρι νερό.
Great. Shall we start making the dough?
Ναι, θα ρίξω το λάδι και το αλάτι και θα το τρίψω.
Okay, let's do it. So we just put the oil into the flour and the salt. We had 3 cups of plain sifted flour, 1/4 of a cup of olive oil and 1 teaspoon of salt, and we just work the oil into the flour just as you would butter into flour when you're making a crumble. Okay, now we just pour the water in, and the water is at room temperature.
Ναι, να είναι λίγο χλιαρό.
So just sort of a little warm, and we start off with about a cup of warm water and combine it well with the flour so that the dough isn't dry.
Πρέπει να γίνει καλή μαλακή η ζύμη.
Okay, so we need a nice soft dough, one that isn't dry or one that isn't too wet and mushy. You really need to try and combine all the flour with the water and then make a judgment to see whether you might need to add a little bit more water. You might need some more, okay. So we put in about another 1/4 of a cup of water there. And again, it depends on your flour.
Ναι, καμιά φορά το αλεύρι είναι γερό και χρειάζεται λίγο πιο πολύ νεράκι.
Okay, so a stronger flour might need some extra water. So you need to make that judgment. So when it's not too wet or not too dry, it just comes away from the bowl or from your hand.
Δεν κολλάει στα χέρια, ναι.
How much dough have you made in your life?
Πάρα πολύ. Κάθε εβδομάδα κάνω.
Every single week for all your pites, galatopites, panakopites, tiropites, όλα. Now I know this is your granddaughter's favourite pita.
Της αρέσει πολύ.
And in fact, when you ask her what would you like me to make you as your birthday cake,
θέλει γαλατόπιτα.
she chooses Galatopita as her birthday cake. And she is 10 years old and she already
Της αρέσει πολύ.
loves Galatopita as her birthday cake.
Και είναι έτοιμο.
Beautiful. Our dough is ready. Can we use it immediately?
Τουλάχιστον πρέπει να ξεκουραστεί για 2 ώρες.
Okay, so we need to
Και
let
πιο
it
πολύ
rest.
να ξεκουραστεί είναι καλύτερο, θα ανοίξει πιο εύκολα.
Okay.
Και τώρα το βάζουμε σε ένα πιατελίτσα. Βάλουμε λίγο πλαστικό να μην ξεραθεί από πάνω και θα αφήσουμε να ξεκουραστεί.
Beautiful. So we need to let the dough rest for at least 2 hours. More if you can, better. It will roll out more easily. So we just cover it with a piece of glad wrap so that it doesn't get sort of a crust when it dries out.
Πιο πολύ να μείνει, πιο καλύτερα ανοίγεται το φύλλο. Αλλά πρωτού 2 ώρες δεν είναι καλό να ανοίγει, δεν ανοίγει εύκολα.
Okay, so definitely 2 hours to rest so that we can work with it more easily. And we just leave it out, don't we?
Ναι.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll let the dough rest. We'll have a rest too. See ya. The dough has rested and so have we. What do we do next?
Τώρα, αφού ξεκουράστηκε, παίρνουμε το ζυμάρι, βγάζουμε το glad wrap, βγάλω το ζυμάρι, θα το κάνω 5 μπάλες.
Okay, so we take the dough and we divide it into 5 balls.
Παίρνουμε λίγο αλεύρι.
Okay, we dust our hands with some flour and we just dust the pastry as well.
Τώρα ρίχνουμε λίγο αλεύρι.
Okay.
Και αρχίσαμε να το ανοίξουμε.
Okay, so we start to roll out the pastry and you start by using a more traditional rolling pin.
Το χειρίζομαι αυτό γιατί με κάνει μεγάλη ευκολία μετά στο άνοιγμα.
It really does. It makes the opening of the phyllo easy in the early stages of the phyllo making process.
Εντάξει, το αφήνουμε αυτό στην άκρη. Τελειώσαμε αυτό και τώρα θα αρχίσουμε το άλλο.
Okay, so now we're going to take each piece of dough and roll it out further and make a nice thin piece of phyllo. You then wrap the dough around the phyllo rolling pin, and starting with your hands in the middle of the pin, you just press the phyllo lightly while moving your hands away from each other. You do this 3 to 4 times each time you wrap the phyllo around the rolling pin. You then unravel the phyllo sheet and lay it out. If the phyllo gets a little sticky, just dust it with some flour. When you unravel the phyllo from the rolling pin, rotate it on your work surface to ensure that your phyllo forms a circle as you roll it out. Don't worry if the phyllo tears. There will be many layers, one upon the other, and you won't notice any holes in your phyllo. You continue to do this until your phyllo is about 60 centimeters in diameter.
Τώρα θα δώσουμε το ταψί και θα βάλουμε το πρώτο φύλλο μέσα.
Okay, so we need to prepare our baking dish, and then we're going to lay our first phyllo sheet into the baking dish. Okay, so we just drizzle some oil. All right, that's quite a bit of oil.
Χρειάζεται γιατί πρέπει να ροδίσει καλά από κάτω, να ψηθεί ωραία.
All right, so don't skimp on the oil. We need that oil in order for the pastry to brown beautifully and form that beautiful crispiness that we want. That's our first piece of phyllo pastry going into our pan, and we drape
το πρώτο φύλλο και το δεύτερο το βάζω έξω από το ταψί για να το μαζέψουμε στο τέλος για να κρατηθεί η κρέμα μέσα.
Okay, first 2 phyllo sheets are draped across the pan, and some of the phyllo actually drapes over the pan. And we do this so that when we actually add the filling later, the custard, we can actually fold the phyllo over the custard, and that keeps the custard in place. We drizzle some more oil on top of the phyllo sheet. Okay, so with the third sheet, does that one get draped over the edges?
Το βάζουμε μέσα τώρα, δεν χρειαζόμαστε άλλο έξω.
Okay, so this one actually just rests inside the pan. And some more oil.
Και τώρα θα βάλουμε το κανέλα.
Okay, and then we sprinkle some cinnamon.
Ζάχαρη.
And some sugar. How much was that?
Ένα κουταλάκι, ένα κουτάλι.
Okay, 1 tablespoon of white sugar. We drape the 4th phyllo sheet in the pan, drizzle it with oil, and again we do the same for the last phyllo sheet. We've finished all of our phyllo.
Βάλουμε μια πιτσέτα από πάνω να μην στυγνώσει το φύλλο.
Okay, we'll just
ώσπου να κάνουμε την κρέμα.
All right. We'll just drape a towel on top of our pan in order for the pastry not to dry out, and we're going to prepare our custard. Let's go.
Εντάξει, θα φτιάξουμε την κρέμα.
All right. We place a large pot on high heat and add 2 litres of extra creamy milk, 10 super heaped soup spoonfuls of sifted plain flour, 1/8 of a teaspoon salt, and 2 large eggs. We whisk the ingredients until all the flour has dissolved and the eggs have completely mixed through. Once the flour has dissolved in the milk, we then use a wooden spoon to stir the mixture. We add 125 grams of butter, and we continue to stir the mixture. As the mixture begins to thicken, it forms lumps. Don't worry, just continue stirring the mixture till it thickens evenly. Once the mixture has thickened evenly, add 2 1/4 cups of sugar and stir this through thoroughly. add half a teaspoon of vanilla sugar and stir this through too. You know the custard is ready when it begins to form bubbles. That way you know that the flour has cooked through properly. The custard is ready. We just need to put it into our pan.
Ναι, με βοηθήσεις.
Absolutely.
Και κρέμα.
Okay.
Και στην κοτάλα.
Just gently spread the custard out so that it fills the pan to the edges.
Θα ρίξουμε λίγο λάδι στο φύλλο για να το τυλίξουμε.
Okay, so we just drizzle a little bit of oil onto the pastry. And you have a special little technique
Και τώρα θα το τυλίξουμε.
Okay, where you're actually sort of
Σιγά, σιγά.
twisting it and folding it over. Twisting it and folding it over, and it almost looks like a pretty braid around the edge of the Galatopita. Beautiful. Okay.
Θα χτυπήσουμε έναν κρόκο και λίγο γάλα.
Okay, we've got 1 egg yolk and about a teaspoon of milk, and we use this mixture.
Τώρα μόνο στην κρέμα μέσα.
Okay, so we just glaze the custard. We don't put the egg mixture on the phyllo, we just baste it on the custard. We have about 20 grams of butter that we've melted, and we're just basting those phyllo leaves that we have sitting on top of the custard. And this butter is going to make that phyllo extra crispy and puffy and crunchy and just beautiful. Okay, it's ready to go into the oven. It's going to bake for approximately 1 hour at 200 degrees centigrade, and we need to check it periodically. About 15 minutes into the baking process, we check to see if any of the glaze has browned, and if it has browned, we actually place a piece of alfoil on top of that area. And then we check again through the baking process.
Συνέχεια που θα την κοιτάζουμε, ναι.
Yep, and then just continually cover it with foil when it's all browned.
Για να ψηθεί ωραία θέλει 1 ώρα.
It does. It needs about an hour so that the custard can cook through a bit further and so that the pastry can actually
Να γίνει τραγανό.
brown and perfectly baked so it's nice and crisp and crunchy. Let's go.
Okay.
It's ready. The pita has baked for 1 hour in the oven, and we've allowed it to cool for 2 hours so that the custard sets and it's easier to cut. Can I have some, please?
Διάζησε να ρίξουμε λίγο κανέλα και την κόψουμε.
Okay. We just need to dust it with a little bit of cinnamon. Beautiful. And we have to wait to put the cinnamon on. We can't do it right after.
Πρέπει να περιμένουμε να κρυώσει γιατί αν τη βάζει ζεστή κολλάει η κανέλα πάνω.
Okay, so it almost kind of cooks maybe.
Ναι.
So we have to actually wait till the pita cools before we can dust it with the cinnamon. Otherwise it might sort of have that baked on effect. And now we're ready to slice it up. Can you hear that crispy, crunchy sound? All right. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. Absolutely perfect. Beautiful, crisp, golden brown phyllo pastry. Thick, creamy custard. Light cinnamon flavour. It's the best. Thank you. Thank you, Vasiliki. Thank you for sharing this very special recipe. And thank you too for joining us today. We wish you καλή επιτυχία, best success in making this dish. Please let us know how you go by leaving feedback on our website gali-orexi.com.au. Kalli Orexi and γεια σας.